Well, hello and welcome to part 3 of my garden room DIY self-build. We've had quite a lot of rain recently and I managed to get a tarp on the roof just to keep as much rain off as I possibly could, but it's got soaked as a building. The sterling board's been really wet over the last few days, but it's hopefully going to dry out. Today what I'm going to do, and what this part is all about, is put on the roof deck and then put the EPDM rubber roofing on. I got that delivered this morning. I'm still needing to get some fascia boards on, but I'll do those by the end of the week. If today I can get the 18mm OSB roofing boards on, that'll be a real achievement. So that's the aim for today. So the roofing board that I got is 3 foot by 8 foot tongue and groove OSB board. It was reasonably light to lift up onto the roof. For the metric minded, that's 2.4 meters by approximately 0.6 meter boards. So this is how I've got on with the boarding of the roof. You can see where the joints are. I've used gap filling glue. I think it's called lumberjack, and I've used 30-minute setting glue, and you put it on the tongue of the board before you butt it up. And then what I've done is I've screwed it to the joist at the end and then in the middle. And then when I've come to do the next row, I put that panel up and then I screw close to the edges. So apparently if you screw your panel down too near the edge at the start, you won't get this second layer in very easily. So that's how it's working out. I'm just using a screwdriver and some 60mm 5 by 60mm screws here, and they're going in quite well. They're quite sort of robust looking screws then. So I've got a little bit more to do. As I'm going along, I'm making sure that the joints are staggered, so you can see that I'm not having joints directly in alignment, and the bit that I cut off at the end starts the board at the far end, if you see what I mean, and then you do a run along. So that's how that's how it's looking at the moment. Just got that last little bit to do, and I'm trying to cut it flush with the edge so that I get to do less cutting with the circular saw. So what I do now is I just put a screw in here close to this edge, because I want to seal this edge up now. Make sure it goes below the surface. Once I get these screws in, I put a screw in the middle and then a screw along each edge. Ultimately, I'll leave that for now because it's a bit near to where I want to be putting this next board in. What I'll do is I'll fill in any gaps with some nails. So it's a combination of screws and nails. And what I've done is I've marked with a marker pen where the joist runs, so that I can see exactly where the screw needs to go. Thankfully the glue's dried out, and I've just got a bit of edge of the board there to trim off, so I'm just going to do that now with a circular saw. Well, I fitted this roof deck about 2 days ago. Yeah, 2 days ago. I'm so glad I bought this 10 quid tarpaulin to cover it, because it's been raining ever since. I've got a delivery of plastic UPVC fascias and soffits there, and I've got the roofing membrane, so I'm just waiting for the weather to clear up to crack on with that. But I do want to keep this deck as dry as possible, so tarpaulin in the northwest of the UK is a good idea. So I'm just behind the shed and I'm going to fit this soffit board. I've cut some vents, some holes for the vents. I don't know if you can see them, but they're black vents, and they allow the air movement from front to back underneath the roof board. I've got some little black plastic topped pins, stainless steel, to put the soffit board on. Because I'm working on my own, I've got these little brackets here, 3 of them, just to hold the board somewhere so that I can easily offer it up to the woodwork there and hammer it in. So it's very flexible stuff. So that's what I'm on with. The UPVC soffits and fascias come in fairly standard sizes, but I did have to trim mine down to suit my particular building. But it is quite easy to cut with a regular panel saw. So I'm just in the process now of fitting the fascia board, and what I've got is a capping board which is kind of like an L shape, and that then just fits over the soffit. There's about a 3 centimetre, 30 millimetre cover underneath for the soffit, and then this goes on to the fascia of the building. So when I'm using these little black topped nails, I'm just going to measure in the depth of the nail here and use that as the line. Just scribe a line in this plastic cover sheet, and then you can space the nails evenly along the same line, and it makes it a lot more neat that way. For the top end here though, I realise that this cover strip that comes with the edge trim that comes with the rubber roof, that's going to hang over this board here by about that much. So any nails that I put in need to be below this level. So I'll mark another line to make sure that I don't interfere with this cover trim when that goes on, when I put the rubber roof on. So here's the end result. I've got my vented soffit, and then the capping piece overlapping. You've got to remember that the slating batten will go up here, and then the cladding will go on top. So this will all get covered. So that's the front fascia and soffit board completed. Quite pleased with that really, and luckily for me this is the best bit. I don't know if I did this by calculation or luck, but the actual top runs flush with the roofing board, so I don't have to trim any of this off, which is brilliant. So I've got to get this now finished off, and then tomorrow is a good day apparently weather wise. I'll be able to lift off this tarpaulin. You see there's been a bit of rain, and get the roof covered, which would be a great relief. Get this thing weather tight. So to finish off the corners, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark a little notch here, just so that this board will fit into this space here. And then there's a corner strip which goes over, but I'm going to cut out this little piece here. It's about 3 centimeters deep by 3 centimeters wide, just that corner. So fortunately I've got a little bit better with this as I've gone along. As you can maybe see on some of these pins here, I've left them slightly proud of the surface, so that when I peel off the protective layer, it comes off nice and clean instead of leaving a bit of untidy plastic around the pin if you push it right in. So that's a little tip that I've picked up as I've gone along. You can see here I've got a join and there's a bit of a gap there. I mean, literally that's the last bit of panel that I've got, and that's the gap that I've got left. So thankfully I haven't been needing to buy another 5 meter length of fascia board, but what you get is one of these kind of cover clips, and that basically covers that area quite neatly there. So I just cut it off to the dimension that I need, and then I believe I can glue it just on the one side so that it allows the board to move a little bit. There's a bit of room for movement, expansion, contraction as the fascia gets hot during the day. So that's for the connection there. On this end here you can see, maybe, unless it's too dark, yeah, you can see that little edge there, the cutout. So what we've got now is a cover piece, a exterior corner piece that fits over quite neatly like that. So I'm going to trim those off, and then that's the job finished. So I chose EPDM for the roof because it's quite hard wearing apparently. I believe the guarantees are up to about 50 years for this sort of product. It's also quite reasonably straightforward for an average DIYer to undertake. So here I'm just sanding down the roof deck to make sure I don't leave any rough bits that might puncture the EPDM, and then I start fitting the back gutter, which requires a bit of 25 by 50 slating batten to be fixed to the edge of the roof, and then you start by tapping on the trim piece first of all, and then the rubber goes over the back of that. Once you've got that back gutter piece in place, you can then roll out the EPDM rubber sheet over your roof and let it settle for a while, maybe about half an hour on a hot sunny day, just to let the creases ease out. Then it's a case of rolling the EPDM back halfway, applying the glue in strips, and then very carefully laying the sheet back over so that you don't have any air bubbles. After a fairly hectic 30 minutes or so, it should end up looking like this. I haven't got the roofing membrane glued down successfully using the water-based adhesive for the most of it, and then a contact adhesive round an edge of the rubber roof. I then started to put the edge trims on. These are very easily dealt with. You just press them onto the side of the roofing membrane and tack them in with the poly pins that are supplied. Okay, well that's the end of a fairly long day. I've got all the trims on, I'll show you them. It's quite hard going, this rubber roof. You've got quite a lot of weight in it on your own, and you've got to then fold it back halfway and then get all the glue on half of it, you know, in stages, and then do the other half. And there's a lot of, especially when the sun's out, which it is here today, the glue seems to go off fairly quickly, so once you start you can't stop. I found that quite difficult. But anyway, it's looking pretty good. There's no major blisters or bubbles or anything, so that's worked out well. So here are the trims. I'll just show you them. So you can see the gutter edge trim. Okay, so that's the water just basically just falls off that. There's a roofing batten underneath here, 25mm roofing batten, so that will then mean that the water sheds off over here down into the gutter, which will be attached to the back fascia board there. And this is the back of the building, so that's the gutter strip that goes all the way along there. And then you've got all these edge trims. And there I've done like a mitre joint there. I don't think it's absolutely necessary, but I've done it. Right, just got the rubber to trim off the edge now. So here's the roof all complete, and quite fittingly being filmed here in torrential rain, but fortunately keeping that rain out of the building now, so things are drying out. A little bit of a detail showing the back gutter and how that sheds the water over the edge. Thanks for watching. Hope it's been of value to you if you're building one of these garden rooms yourselves. Please consider subscribing if you want to. If not, please give it a thumbs up if it's been of any value to you. Thanks again. All the best. Bye bye.